Imagine stepping into a freezing Roman winter night over 2,000 years ago, where the biting cold seeps through every crack in your home, turning your breath into visible clouds and making sleep feel like a distant dream. But then picture one clever inventor who dared to challenge the gods of chill with a hidden system that not only warmed rooms like never before, but kept them toasty long after the fire had flickered out. With luxury, welcome to the untold story of Sergius Orata and his hidden fire pit. The Hypocaust, a breakthrough that heated ancient cabins, villas, and baths in ways that still inspire modern heating today. And trust me, by the end of this, you'll wonder why we ever settled for anything less. Back in the late 1st century BC, around 80 BC to be precise, Rome was buzzing with innovation. From grand aqueducts carrying fresh water across hills to massive colosseums that could host thousands. But amid all this grandeur, everyday folks still huddled around open hearths or braziers that belched smoke, provided spotty warmth, and died out quickly, leaving families shivering through the night, especially in the colder provinces, where winters could be brutal and fuel-like. Wood or charcoal was precious and hard to come by without stripping forests bare. Enter Sergius Orata, a wealthy Roman entrepreneur known more for his oyster farming tricks than engineering genius at first. A man who made his fortune by creating artificial oyster beds warmed by hot springs. But his restless mind did stop. There he observed how heat from those natural sources lingered in the water and soil, inspiring him to dream up a way to trap and distribute warmth artificially in buildings. Starting with public baths, where Romans gathered not just to clean, but to socialize, relax, and escape the elements. And little did anyone know, this idea would transform hygiene, comfort, and even architecture across the empire. Orata's concept was deceptively simple, yet brilliantly ahead of its time. Instead of a visible fireplace dominating a room, he proposed a hidden fire pit or furnace built outside or beneath the structure, where slaves or workers would stoke a fire that sent hot air and smoke through a network of channels under the floor, raised on small pillars made of brick or stone to create a void space about 2 feet high, allowing the heat to circulate evenly before escaping through flues in the walls or roof. And the real magic, the thick tile floors and hollow walls absorbed that heat like a sponge, radiating it back slowly for hours or even days after the flames had died, turning what seemed like a wasteful underground maze into a thermal battery that kept spaces warm without constant refueling. Skeptics abounded. Of course, fellow builders and patrons whispered that burying fire channels sounded like a recipe for disaster, imagining collapsed floors, suffocating smoke leaks, or simply wasted effort on something unproven, when traditional methods, flawed as they were, had sufficed for generations. And even Vitruvius, the famed Roman architect who later documented the system in his writings, might have raised an eyebrow at first, but Orata pressed on, testing his prototype in oyster ponds before scaling it to baths, driven by a mix of profit, motive, and genuine desire to elevate Roman living standards. As word spread of his experiments, the elite circles in Rome buzzed with a mix of curiosity and mockery, some calling it Orata's folly, because who in their right mind would dig up perfectly good foundations to hide a fire pit that no one could see, especially when resources were tight and construction crews balked at the extra labor of stacking those precise pillars and ceiling channels to prevent deadly carbon monoxide buildup. Yet Orata, undeterred by the doubters, poured his wealth into refining the design, ensuring the hot gases flowed safely and efficiently, hinting at a future where warmth was a luxury for the gods, but a right for every Roman citizen. But just when the naysayers thought they'd proven him wrong, a harsh winter storm hit, testing the Hypocaust in ways no one expected. Would this hidden wonder hold up or crumble under the cold, as that brutal winter descended on Rome like a vengeful spirit, blanketing the city in snow and frost that turned the Tiber River into a sluggish vein of ice? Families across the empire clung to their dwindling woodpiles, feeding flames that offered fleeting comfort before abandoning them to the chill of dawn. But in the bathhouses where Sergius Orata had quietly installed his Hypocaust prototypes, something extraordinary began to unfold, whispers turning to gasps as patrons lingered longer, their skin warmed not just by steam but by floors that pulsed with gentle heat. And word spread like wildfire among the senators and merchants who frequented these spots, shifting from ridicule to reluctant admiration, as they realized his useless hidden fire pit was just a gimmick, but a game-changer that could heat entire complexes with far less fuel. Orata's detractors, including rival engineers who profited from traditional stove designs, doubled down at first, spreading rumors that the system was prone to cracks from uneven heating, or that the underground voids would harbor pests and moisture leading to rot. But evidence mounted against them when the first full-scale Hypocaust in a private villa likely One of Orata's own properties maintained a steady warmth through a week-long cold snap, allowing residents to sleep soundly without the constant cough of smoke-filled rooms. A stark contrast to neighbors who bundled in layers and still shivered, proving that the absorbed heat in those stone pillars and terracotta tiles acted like a natural reservoir, releasing energy slowly and efficiently long after the furnace fire had been extinguished. Drawing from his oyster farming background, where he used similar warming techniques to boost yields in cold seasons, Orata refined the Hypocaust by incorporating terracotta pipes in the walls, creating a full radiant heating envelope that enveloped bathers in even, soothing temperatures. And historians like Vitruvius later praised this in De Architectura, detailing how the furnace, often stoked with olive pits or cheap agricultural wastes, pushed hot air under suspended floors supported by stacks, those short columns that created the hypocaust space before venting safely, minimizing waste and maximizing comfort in ways that made open fires seem primitive by comparison. Yet challenges persisted. Early installations sometimes failed due to poor sealing, leading to smoke backdrafts that fueled the skeptics' fire, but Orata iterated relentlessly, consulting with Greek influences since. Some trace hypocaust roots back to Hellenistic designs and temples, like Ephesus around 350 BC, and adapting them for Roman scale, ensuring the system could handle the demands of massive public thermi like those built under Agrippa, where thousands bathed daily without the air turning acrid or the heat fading prematurely. As adoption grew, the hypocausts spread beyond Italy to frontier outposts in Britain and Gaul, where legionaries in chilly forts marveled at floors that stayed warm overnight, boosting morale and health in harsh climates. And archaeologists today uncover these systems in sites like Pompeii or Bath in England, revealing how the hidden fire pit evolved from a doubted novelty to a standard in elite homes, with variations like channel hypocausts for simpler setups or pillar and wall designs for luxury, all testifying to Orata's vision that warmth could be engineered, not just endured. Even emperors took notice, incorporating hypocausts into palaces and villas. But not without intrigue. Some accounts suggest political rivals tried to sabotage Orata's reputation by claiming the invention was untold, sparking debates echoed in modern scholarship like Garrett Fagan's paper questioning his priority. Yet the impact remained undeniable, reducing fuel consumption by up to half compared to traditional methods, and paving the way for radiant heating concepts that echo in today's underfloor systems. But as the hypocaust cemented its place in Roman life, a greater test loomed on the horizon, one that would push this invention to its limits and reveal secrets even Orata had foreseen. Could it withstand the empire's expanding ambitions, or would hidden flaws emerge in the heat of conquest? With the Roman Empire stretching from the misty isles of Britain to the sun-baked sands of North Africa, the Hypocaust's triumph became a symbol of ingenuity, conquering nature, as villas and far-flung provinces adopted Orata's designed to combat diverse climates, keeping marble floors warm in snowy Alps or humid bathhouses steamy in Syria. And astonishingly, excavations show these systems lasting centuries, with some still partially functional when unearthed, proving how the stored thermal mass in those brick pillars and clay tiles could radiate heat for up to 24 hours after a single firing, efficiencies that saved countless cords of wood and lives during sieges or shortages. Orata's legacy extended beyond mere comfort. By improving hygiene through consistent hot baths, the hypocausts helped curb diseases in crowded urban centers, allowing Romans to maintain their famed cleanliness even in winter. And it influenced architecture profoundly, enabling larger windows and open spaces since walls now contributed to heating, transforming stark stone buildings into inviting havens that fostered social bonds and intellectual pursuits amid the warmth. Yet, as with any innovation, adaptations brought revelations in colder regions like Hadrian's Wall. Engineers enhanced the system with better insulation and multiple furnaces, discovering that the hidden fire pit could integrate with aqueducts for hot water supply, creating full central heating networks that preheated entire complexes. And stories abound of skeptical locals, perhaps Celtic tribes or Germanic settlers, who initially dismissed Roman magic floors as sorcery until experiencing the lingering warmth that defied the dying flames. Much like Orata's early critics who ate their words when his bath stayed operational through power outages of the era, like fuel embargoes during wars. Modern parallels abound, from Korean ondol systems that echo the Hypocaustus underfloor channels to today's radiant floor heating and eco-homes, all owing a debt to this ancient marvel that prioritized sustainability long before it was trendy. And fascinatingly, while Orata profited handsomely, becoming a byword for luxury in texts by Cicero who mocked his opulent lifestyle, the invention democratized warmth, trickling down to middle-class homes by the 2nd century AD under emperors like Trajan, who expanded public baths as social equalizers. But the true wonder lies in the science. The furnace. Often a prefernium dug into the ground or walled off, burned low and slow, pushing gases at around 200 to 300 degrees Celsius through the subfloor void, where convection and radiation warmed the space above without direct flame exposure. And the thermal inertia of materials ensured no rapid cooldown, a principle that baffled contemporaries but now underpins energy-efficient designs worldwide. As we reflect on this, it's clear Orata's useless idea wasn't just about heat, it was about resilience, turning vulnerability to cold into a conquered frontier and inspiring generations to innovate against the elements. If this tale of ancient brilliance fired up your curiosity about history's hidden gems, hit that like button, subscribe for more stories that warm the mind, and drop a comment below sharing what ancient invention you'd love to see revive. Today, let's say, keep the conversation glowing.